Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. We're here with some more transfer news regarding Lennon Miller. Have Celtic been priced out? Who knows? But I did this earlier, and then the PC just dropped on me, died a death, and it produced this monstrosity. Prepare your ears. Celtic have reportedly pulled out of the race for Lennon Miller. Welcome back to Fog Football. Let's not waste any time with it. Let's dive straight into the date of the record. Then shall Celtic expected to rekindle their interest in 18-year-old Motherwell midfielder Lennon Miller, and have also been keeping tabs on Hearts left back James Penrice. Right, so going against the grain because everybody else in fact pull out of the deal for Lennon Miller. So talk Lennon Miller first of all. At the end of the true about the 10 for Lennon from someone. Does it for Celtic? No, Celtic got 10 million to spend on him. Of course they did. Right. Well, answer this is I've seen a lot of Celtic fans. I've heard a few Celtic fans this morning bang on it. Well, we're not going to spend 10 million on Lennon Miller. It's just not worth it. Is Adam Adair worth it? Is Adam worth 9 million, 9.5 million? Whatever the price was. You know, like this video, right? Adam Adair, Celtic sell him on. You're talking about, right? You might be useless. Right. Even the Angles, right? Celtic signed him for 11 million. I would be surprised if Celtic I don't think you could break any track records. 25 million. I mean, you can't get better. I think they could probably get like a maximum around 20 million for him. But there's definitely of rules in there is of having the top of 18, 10 million from Motherwell. Where's the left one? Anyway, less about how absolute broken that was and more about the actual transfers. Man, I actually spent like 10 minutes talking about it, but here we are talking about it now. Anyway, right, so we've got Lennon Miller and Penrice to talk about. We'll kick off with the big LM, the guy, the next wonder kid from Scotland, Lennon Miller. And Celtic, right, basically what I talked about earlier before it corrupted that badly is the fact that they've spent 11 million on Engels. They've spent 9 million on Big Adam. All right, 9.5, whatever you want to call it. Why wouldn't you spend 10 million on Lennon Miller? He's 18, right? Is he more highly thought of than on the Engels? I'd say he is. I would, and that's not bias speaking because we'd seen way more of Lennon Miller than we had of Engels before he signed for Celtic. Not going to bash Arnie Engels. Young talent kicking about in the Bundesliga. He's definitely worth 10 million in my eyes, folks. I have to be honest. Because I mean, is he worth 10 million in the sense that he's got a year left on his deal and he's at Motherwell? That's the problem, right? Motherwell don't sell players like that. I mean, no one in this league sells players for like 10 million. I mean, I've got to be honest. Rangers have only sold a few players in recent years for over 10 million. Bassey and I think Aribo's with add-ons reached about 10 million. But in terms of everybody else, I mean, it's unheard of. It really is. But I think it just goes to show you how highly rated he is. And I understand it, man. Things can happen where he could break a leg and he could ruin his career and it could be 10 million down the drain. But he's also a player, right, that could very easily, and I'm not saying this guy wants to stay the rest of his career in Scotland, right? But I think I think he will turn out to be far too good for that. But he could be the part of a Celtic midfield for 15 years, or Rangers midfield for 15 years, if he wanted to be, of course. And then the worst case scenario is, well, if he doesn't, then you sell him for big bucks. Whoever buys Lennon Miller's going to make profit. And obviously in the Scottish League, we're not going to make as much money as the Premier League, right? But, if Rangers or Celtic bought this guy for 10 million, you're going to make about 25, 30 minimum, man. I think there's a real case that this guy would get even beyond that if his potential continues. Because if he does 2 years at Rangers or Celtic, then he's only 20. And then how much money are we talking then? More European experience under his belt, potentially Champions League. In terms of other clubs that are interested, though, it is Frankfurt and Union Saint Gilloise, and of course we know with them they like that they're involved in the whole Brighton. I could see him going to them, then going to Brighton, then moving on to Brighton for like 140 million because that's what they do at Brighton, guys. But have Celtic been priced out? Leave it down below, Celtic fans. Do you think 10 million on Lennon Miller's worth it? Or is it bad business? I don't think Celtic will do it, but if you're willing to spend it on Adam Adair, 9.5, I think you should do it on Lennon Miller.
Now, there is a lot of hype around young James Penrice. Of course there is. Obviously came in from Livingston last season and was one of the few star performers at Hearts. Obviously Hearts had a pretty disgusting season, finishing bottom six, the putrid football under Stephen Naismith, and then went on to be, of course, under Neil Critchley. But they looked alright in the last couple of games when Liam Fox was in there. So that looked good for them. But in terms of Celtic, how much would they be willing to spend on James Penrice? Well, he is 26. It's not quite, in the past, I guess, when you could say, well, say in the past, I guess in the past, the guy's no 21 anymore now. His value over on transfer market's 1.3 million euros, but can't really say too much about transfer market's ratings, to be honest. But he's a 26-year-old left back. In terms of the Scottish Premiership, he did play, I think he played 33 games, 2 goals, 5 assists. I mean, that's no bad from a left back position, definitely not. But, I mean, where else? I mean, I'm looking at left backs in Scotland. Penrice he was probably most people's team of the seasons, quite comfortably. So, yeah, I think it'd be a good move for him. Be a good move for Hearts if they got the right price. But the question is, how much is the right price? We're talking about Celtic won't pay 10 million for Lennon Miller. They're going to pay, I mean, how much are Hearts going to demand here? Like 2 mil? 2.5 mil? Are Celtic going to pay that? Would they pay 2.5 mil for James Penrice but not 10 for Lennon Miller? Not convinced on that. Anyway, that will do it for Fog Football. Leave your thoughts down below. We'll be back very soon with some more transfer news. But until next time, peace.